Hi, my name is Gracio and I'll be introducing our topic today. Sese will be speaking a little later during the presentation. Today we're going to present a video presentation for our online unit called Urban Context. Our chosen urban theorist is Lewis Mumford. He is one of the famous theorists in the late 18th and early 19th century. Before we proceed to talk about his theories, we'll give you a brief biography of Lewis Mumford. Lewis Mumford was born on the 19th of October 1895 in New York, but then he died on the 26th of January 1990. He is classified as an American architectural critic, urban planner, and historian. However, he is not a specialist in any single field. He rather classifies himself as a generalist. This is because he has conducted studies in various fields stemming from nature to human behavior to the built environment. Therefore, the studies of cities has occupied only a portion of his thinking life. He studied in the City College of New York and the New York School of Social Research. During his life as a student, Mumford's writing was influenced by Patrick Getz, who was a pioneer of modern urban planning. Most of Mumford's writing or work focuses on social philosophies, American literacy, and the cultural history of cities and urban planning practices. In other words, Mumford analyzes the effects of technology and urbanization on human societies throughout history. In his study of humanity, he focused mainly on human development in relationship to human brain, emotion, then culture, and how they intercorrelate with each other. He also retraced history to analyze how human personalities affect built environment and urban planning, thus the quality of life. He argues and emphasizes on the value of human community and integration of social activities in urban cities planning, eliminating segregation of different social classes. Mumford stated that life is the starting point and foundation to everything else, which was quoted in Long's review. There are three major ideas highlighted in all of Mumford's writing. Sese and I will present each of these ideas in two ways. The first idea is the relationship between technology and the human behavior. Second, the relationship between community and the built environment. Third, the relationship between social integration and art. As shown in the previous slide, that one of the three key points highlighted is the relationship between technology and human behavior. I will be presenting the first part, and this section focuses on how technology influences human lifestyle and how we can overcome the power of technology. Sese will present the second part, highlighting the destruction technology can bring onto human community. Mumford's core concern are the social history and the contemporary implications of technology. These ideas are well examined in one of Mumford's best-selling book called Techniques in Civilization, published in 1934. This followed with two-volume books called The Myth of Machine, consisting Techniques and Human Development in 1967 and The Pentagon of Power. This series outlined the aspect of mechanization that shaped the interactions of people and technology. One of the contemporary issues discussed is that technology replaces the creative culture with rapid-paced entertainment and speed-obsessed lifestyles. Mumford stated in The Myth of Machine that as society moves into a more modern age, many operations will be automatic due to the influence of technology. Mumford argued that the creative culture that humans once possessed will be replaced by technology, and this will cause men's critical thinking to become passive. Mumford aims to challenge the idea that science and technology does not make humankind's proper destiny, and it should not dominate this world. Mumford has brought up the same ideology in his books, Arts and Technique. He pleads for a sense of balance and wholeness in a human life, a concept that does not depend on machineries. This quote is relevant in today's society. As reproduction becomes ordinary, this has resulted the lack of custom-made product with the invention of mass production. As a result, this causes art to lose its unique identity. In summary, the key highlight is that men will be passive in creative and critical thinking. This is another famous quote by Mumford. It says that the capital danger in arts of the machine is misplaced creativity. In other words, trying to make the machine take over the functions of a person. An object that reflects the idea of the previous quote is a mobile phone, or we call it the smartphone in the 21st century. This section explores how technology has changed human behavior over the past century. Has it made human beings passive? Technology has enabled humans to create many astounding resources. The advancement of technology has made many discoveries. We have all the information we need at our fingertips. Despite of all these great discoveries, it has also dramatically changed how human lives on a daily basis. Mumford repeats his idea that technology kills creativity in majority of the books that he has written. There must be some sort of truth to this idea, and it is still relevant in today's society. In my opinion, our smartphone has changed the way we communicate to people, our lifestyle, and most importantly, our critical thinking. Based on observation, people used to communicate through physical contact or through letter writing across the world. With the invention of smartphones, we now can communicate with anyone around the world. While this is great, this has changed the way we communicate and build relationship with others. Technology allows people to produce information rapidly and allows others to search for information, advice, and opinions effortlessly. In addition, many people build connections with people through social media, which is a form of virtual communication. This form of communication allows people to make friends, find support group, and essentially find a group of people that makes people have a sense of belonging. Technology has hindered a person's way of expression. As various technology is rapidly growing, it is subtly destroying the meaningful interactions between people. Consequently, it disconnects us from the world around us. Research shows that relationships are deeper and have more value without any mobile technology interactions. However, instead of spending time with friends and family in person, we have moved into a more digital world that involves instant messaging. Example, texting, calling, email. As a result, this has caused human beings to express themselves more on the internet and on social media rather than in person. This is another form of human beings being dependent on technology and passive in face-to-face communication. Cece will then talk about how technology can bring destruction to the human community.
My name is Cece, and now I will be presenting the second part of the first point of Mumford's theory, technology as a technique. Graciel have clearly explained how technology can affect human social behavior, making them passive in everyday life. And now I'll be presenting how allowing technology to over-control human behavior can bring destruction to the whole urban cityscapes and humanity. Thus, the need for humans to take control of the technology, which will result in quality of life and built environment for communities around cities. In the first volume of The Myth of Machine, written in 1967, Mumford emphasizes the need for technology to remain as a technique or a tool which humans can utilize. Mumford also stated that I could find no clue to modern man's overwhelming commitment to his technology, even at the expense of his health, his physical safety, his mental balance, and his possible future development, that I was driven to re-examine the nature of man and the whole course of technological change. This quote shows that Mumford sees modern men have overwhelming commitment to his technology. Instead of human being the master over technology, the technology is taking control over human behavior, causing harm to men's physical, mental, and emotional health. Therefore, he argued strongly that technology should remain a technique or a tool in which human utilizes it, and the need for men to take control over its technology. Mumford's theory of machine as a technique derived from his study of human history, development, behavior, and culture. The Myth of Machine, first volume by Mumford, analyzes the history and effects of Nega machine, which he calls it by a number of different names depending on their usage. When each different types of machines' functions are used and purposely separated, he calls it an invisible machine. When it is being used on highly organized collective enterprises, he called it the labor machine, but when it is used for destruction, military and political purposes, he called it the military machine. But when all these functions and components of political, economic, civil, and military are combined, he called it the mega machine. Mumford retraces the history of the development of mega machine in his book. Its achievements are mainly its destructive nature, not because the machine itself is necessarily destructive, but its user human deprived its original purpose and exploit the machine's usage for destructive purposes. Although the mega machine, as Mumford calls it, can be destructive, it also left some amazing historical wonder until our days. One of the mega machine's achievements is the Great Wall of China. This Great Wall of China was built for military and political purposes for protection against the Mongol invaders at that time. Considering the terrain of its location, length and strength of the wall, not only was it great in size, but its engineering activities can be seen. Although this product of mega machine seems as one of the Earth's great wonder and an attraction to many tourists nowadays, many lives of common people, criminals and soldiers were lost during the process of building. And the emperor at that time was willing to sacrifice its own citizens to protect its power and country. In this case, the mega machine was destructive not because of its function, but because of its user giving the machine absolute power to achieve its goal. As Mumford analyzed the history and effects of mega machines, now I would like to analyze the nuclear bomb and technology as an object example. And the key questions are, what was the result of giving this technology an absolute power? How has this affected human personality and development? Today, greater threat faces humankind than that of mega machine. It is the threat of nuclear bombs and technology, as a number of countries around the world has made great investment in order to obtain this destructive technology. Tracing back on human history, nuclear bomb has done great damage in World War II. This is an image of Hiroshima, a city in Japan, after it was bombed by an atomic bomb. A number of ruins remained, but most of the built environment got destroyed. According to History.com website, on August 6, 1945, during World War II, the atomic bomb explosion wiped out 90% of the city and immediately killed 80,000 people. And after that, tens of thousands more later died because of radiation exposure. This is an image of an alley in Hiroshima before World War II, and this is an image of Hiroshima today. The total destruction of the city from the atomic bomb allowed the city planner to reinvent and develop a better planned city with higher quality of life. Yet this does not eliminate the fact that nuclear bomb can bring total destruction to a city, as happened previously to Hiroshima. And today, 2018, 73 years after World War II, more than one country around the world has obtained this destructive technology, and during this time, the strength of nuclear bomb has increased compared to the one bombed at Hiroshima. As we have seen in Hiroshima, Japan case, nuclear bomb has the ability to destroy the whole city and people in it, and it still can. This is an image produced from NUKE map showing the radius of destruction nuclear bomb can bring to the city of Perth. And as you can see, the whole of Perth city will turn into ash if nuclear bomb is to hit Perth. And this destruction is only possible if men lose control and give this destructive technology absolute power, as Mumford calls it. Therefore, Mumford quoted in his book The City in History 1961, war was one of the lethal genes, transmitted by the city from century to century, always doing damage but never yet widely enough to bring civilization itself to an end. That period of tolerance is now over. If civilization does not eliminate war as an open possibility, our nuclear agents will destroy civilization, terminate mankind. This brings us to the second point of Mumford's theory, the relationship between community and built environment. As we have seen in point 1, human behavior to allow technology to control oneself can make men passive in everyday life, and greater danger lies when men give technology absolute power can bring great destruction to man community. Thus, Mumford raised the need for men to maintain a high standard of morals and focus on development of human personality. In point number 2, I will be presenting the topic of moral superiority, and later Gracia will be presenting how to achieve a sense of balance with human community and built environment. In the book The City in History, 1961, Mumford raised the point that humans are becoming dehumanized and demoralized by their goals and ambition as they rely on machine and modern technology to achieve greater things, so to speak. He also mentioned the need for humans to replenish human personality, which has been scattered by social segregation, overcultivation, and nationalism, which led humans to spend their energy, money, and time on science and technology, deprive humans of human personality. In his study of human brain development, Mumford highlights the need for fundamental natural elements such as light, water, and air in human development of brain creativity, emotion, and human culture. The danger occurs when man turns this around. Instead of allowing fundamental natural environments to transform our way of life and built environment, when human began to centralize its culture, emotions such as greed, power, hierarchy, and profit, reducing the planet to denatured state, as the bulldozer, the chemical exterminators, and the nuclear bombs and reactors are already doing, then man himself will become equally denatured, or in another word, become dehumanized. Human can become like a computer that has the ability to produce rigid numerical number and give mathematical and scientific solution to a problem, but is not really able to solve the actual problem humanity faces himself. Therefore, Mumford sees the need for human to resume possession of oneself. Now let's have a look at London city slum in the 19th century and see how misuse of power can lead humans to become demoralized. This is the image of Little Collingwood Street in London in 19th century. In the 19th century, London city slum was a huge problem among working class men. Basically, one family lives in one room, and when we say one family, it can be up to 8 people. And the living standards are dreadful, and the street, whether during daytime or nighttime, can be full of thieves, robbers, and illness and disease spreading around immoral acts of women. Basically, humans' living standard or moral has degraded and is being dehumanized simply because they were too poor. The government at the time would say the root of the problem was simply economics, the fact that the people there were too poor, but is this really the case? In the book Cities of Tomorrow, Peter Hall stated that the real underlying factor of all this was the incompetent and often corrupt local government system, unable or unwilling to use the power it had to transform the cityscape and built environment. Because of men who are in power become dehumanized, caused a larger number of community to become demoralized. They support Mumford's argument that through the misuse of power, damage is being done to human community through social segregation, overcultivation of a favored function by tribalism and nationalism, where the organic and fundamental aspects are absent in city planning. How true that is in the case of London city slum. Through the misuse of power, it is the poor working class community that suffers with quality of life and built environment. The city in history, Mumford stated, we must restore the city maternal life nature and functions, but the city should be an organ of love, and the best economy of city is the care and culture of men. Therefore, planning the city shouldn't have economic and politic as its primary factor, but the community and social integration should be its central factor.
This is the second part to the relationship between community and the built environment. We will be focusing on the sense of balance between nature and the built environment. Long stated in his review that Mumford's ideas are based on achieving a sense of wholeness between people, community, and civilization. It is done through these 3 points. So I guess now is, how do we achieve a sense of balance? In the book The City in History, Mumford suggests that the idea of creation of suburbs should account for the idea of allowing people to get back into nature. In order to focus our attention of human and environmental needs, Mumford proposed the idea of creating garden cities, which Ebenezer Howard put forward in his book Garden Cities of Tomorrow in 1902. Another book that Mumford presents this idea is Urban Prospect. He said that this is a new image of a new kind of city, the city in the park. This idea is based around creating towns surrounded by greenery. Using the suburbs in Perth as an example, we will explore how did Perth achieve a sense of balance through the suburbs. Perth is often described as a retreat for greenery spaces, a space with communal gardens. One of the significant components that Perth considers when it comes to city and urban planning are mixtures of greenery into urban spaces. This is done through the incorporation of green spaces with heritage buildings, public art, and water fountain features. There are many benefits to implementing community gardens in suburbs, and these are listed as such. This is a map that shows one of the cities in Perth that consists of many suburbs. The green spaces represent communal gardens, parks, and recreational areas in Perth. Try to notice the characteristics of Perth's urban planning. The cities are organized around the river to promote nature. This is another city in Perth that has green spaces and highlights the river as well. This is called the city of Canning. And this is the city of South Perth. This beach is located in Shelley, city of Canning. Again, there's the river, garden, park, and then houses behind. And this is South Perth foreshore, located in the city of South Perth. Do you notice the trend? Perth's urban planning involves communal interaction not only with people, but also with the gardens, parks, and the river. This brings us to our third and last major idea, the relationship between social integration and art. We will talk about how the built environment is like a theater or performance stage in urban planning. One of Mumford's favorite metaphors about cities is that a city is like a theater designed and made for human experience. In the book City Reader, Mumford stated that the primary components of the city are the natural environment and the spiritual values of human community. It is then followed by the secondary components, which are the aesthetics of building and urban planning of cities and economic function. One of Mumford's ideas that are highlighted is that a person's day-to-day life is an expression of social drama for a city. This is one of Mumford's quotes that state the city is like a theater of social action. Using Perth as an example again, what are some of the ways in which the manifestation of theatre and performance can take place in today's urban cities? Our idea and perception of theatre and performance stage have changed over the years. Theatre and performance can be abstracted as stage, scene, set, actors, audience, drama. Though it may be true, the role and concept of theatre and performance is much more complex in cities. Urban planners now consider cultural, economic, and experience economies in urban life. Many consider theatre to be plays or performance on stage. However, McCann discussed the notion that the manifestation of a city as a theatre can be more than that. A city as a theatre can come in the form of rallies, multimedia, creative installments, performances by the street of the city, festivals. It can even come in the form of concert, sport events, marches, and parades. Any events that unite the community together and promote collective memory is a city theatre. In other words, a city theatre should contribute to economics in conjunction with providing opportunities for the community to enjoy art and pleasure culturally, and essentially to make memories. Jacobs and Appleyard said that the city has always been a place of excitement. It is a theatre, a stage upon which citizens can display and be seen by others. Here are some of the ways the Perth city is like a theatre. We have street performance, concerts, and sport events. Mumford highlighted not only the importance of building structures in the city, but also the spaces and walkways between the buildings. These spaces are able to function in two ways, aesthetically and socially. City theatres can also be presented in the form of mobile billboards, a display window of a retail store, and buildings that light up in the dark, and so on. In summary, there are many ways a city can be presented as a theatre.
Glacier have shown how Perth have achieved a sense of balance through nature, arts and built forms. Now I'll present the future plan of Perth to even better social integration between communities through urban plannings and built forms. This is one of the quotes by Mumford in his book The City in History. It stated, "The chief function of the city is to convert power into form, energy into culture, dead matter into the living symbols of art, biological reproduction into social creativity." Now we're going to analyze Perth City's future plan as an example and answer the question, how is Perth moving forward to improve the structure of ideal cities sprung by Mumford in encouraging social integration and creativity. Here we see a map of currently undergoing plan for Perth metropolitan area. Perth government is currently carrying out its plan to develop strategic metropolitan centres throughout Perth metropolitan areas. These areas include Kennington, Fremantle, Morley and Stirling. Each of these suburbs will become centralized locations that encourages social integration and community activities. Therefore, people don't have to travel all the way to Perth. This is a map of Perth City Plan for Natural System. The Perth government is planning to plant 1 million additional trees throughout Perth City Strip. Not only this will reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 60%, it will also enhance and connect local wildlife habitats and provide space for different activities for the communities. Now, what about built forms? This is a diagram showing that there will be different types of human activity integration within a high-rise building. Instead of a building being all office where it's alive during the day and dead at night, or a building being all residential, there will be an integration of different functions within the building. So the top one, the light blue, shows residential area, and then the pink office area, then the green commercial retail area. So there will be a mixed usage of building throughout the day. And this is a diagram showing that Perth government is planning to make most use of natural elements such as solar, rain and air to make the most use of those natural elements in producing energy, and things like recycling and grey water storage to encourage care for the community and environment. So in conclusion, Mumford's theory based on study of humanity brings out three main ideas. Number 1. Relationship between technology and human behavior. This section emphasizes the need for humans to take control of technology and that technology should remain only as a technique. Leading to point number 2. Relationship between community and built environment. In the process of human being in control over technology, there is a need for human to care for its community and each other. Only this way, quality of life and built environment will be better. Point number 3. Relationship between social integration and art shows that in urban city planning, it is important to centralize social integration through art, built forms, and natural elements, and human community as a primary factor instead of economic and political factor. From all this point above, we can see that Mumford's theory focuses highly on natural elements and human development.